As against Amber Heard, we, the jury, award punitive damages in the amount of $5 million. As against John C. Depp II, we, the jury, award compensatory damages in the amount of $2 million. As against John C. Depp II, we, the jury, award punitive damages in the amount of $0.
And as with everything else in this trial, the verdicts didn't come without some drama. Jurors didn't fill out the verdict form correctly.
All right, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, what I need you to do, I need to give the forms back to you. When you find for a defamatory statement, one or more, you need to fill out the compensatory damages. It has to be at least $1 for compensatory damages and up to whatever you feel the damages should be. And for punitive damages, you can put a 0 there, or you can fill out that as well, but I need those lines filled out, okay? All right, so if I can have you retire back to the deliberation room and do that for me, okay?
Closing arguments anchor Vinnie Politan is live in Fairfax, Virginia, and he joins me now. Great to see you, Vinnie. We covered that verdict together on the air. It was great to be able to do that. It's been a couple of hours now. You had some time to ruminate a little bit. Your thoughts now, looking back on the verdict?
What a day. Surprised. I guess I'm always surprised in a case of defamation, but $10 million, an overwhelming victory for Johnny Depp. This thing took on a life of its own here in Fairfax, Virginia, and then took on a life of its own around the globe through social media, primarily becoming the first TikTok trial, right, of the century. And what really strikes me is that the same reaction, the same sort of vibe to the testimony that the folks watching through, you know, the lens of the court TV cameras was the same lens that the jury saw this through. They didn't believe Amber. They believed Johnny. Johnny's the winner. Amber is absolutely the loser in this case. And it was in sync. And to me, that is interesting, but also important, because if we just heard a verdict, and never saw any of the testimony, only knew about the testimony through someone else's filter, some reporter or blogger who was inside the courtroom, you might have a completely different picture of why this happened. But we understand why. I mean, overwhelmingly, everyone, not everyone, but an overwhelming majority of people had the same reaction to Amber Heard that this jury had. It's in sync. And to me, that's a big takeaway from what happened here.
You know what's interesting, in all the years that you and I have covered cases, there's always, in every trial we cover, there's something you remember. And it's not just the verdict. There's something that happens in the trial that always sticks with you. And I'm sure any trial you've covered, we could find one. Is there something like that in this case that sticks with you just from watching this entire trial, gavel to gavel?
Yeah, to me, it was Johnny Depp's use of language on the witness stand. You know, a lot of people are going to remember through the memes and everything else on TikTok about Amber Heard's testimony, but to me, never have I seen a witness like Johnny Depp before. Never. He was able to, through his language, his composure, charisma, whatever you want to call it, take some facts that were like really bad, like doing some really bad, I mean, taking blood and painting on the wall and making it seem like, well, okay, it's not the worst. It's not that bad, what he did. It's not that insane. It's not evidence of anything else. It's his artistic expression. He had a way to do that. And he would finish the testimony talking about painting these crazy messages on the wall with his own blood from his finger, and we would walk away from it because of the way he testified about it, the way he described it. Oh, yeah, okay, I get it. It's Johnny Depp expressing himself. He's an artist. Unbelievable. Yeah, nobody else could pull that off. Yeah, nobody.
He was able to diffuse even those horrible texts. We look back at some of that testimony. He was able to diffuse it all with just his charm and the way he spoke and the way he delivered his lines. Again, I'm not suggesting he was acting, but boy, he did a great job on the stand. I wanted to ask you, when we were on the air, we were wondering if the lawyers, when they went up, when there was an issue with the jury and the verdict form, if either side knew what had happened. My understanding is that you're getting some information, or there's some scuttlebutt around the courthouse that maybe Amber's team knew or the attorneys did in fact know?
I'm not sure. I have not heard that direct scuttlebutt. We'll check with Chandler Page in the next hour. She may have the 411 on that. But what's interesting, though, is that both sides did win, right? They won. She won at least one claim. He won 3 claims. So at that point, no one, if they all knew everything, no one knew anything, because it was all about the dollars at the end of the day, right? Johnny Depp won 3 claims. She won 1 claim. What is her 1 claim worth? What are his 3 claims worth? That's how you really determine the winner in all of this. And obviously the jury spoke that it was Johnny Depp. But I think at that moment where no damages were awarded, if both sides knew what the verdict form said, at that point, no one knows who's going to win still at that point. It's still totally up in the air, because they have to go decide the money. And they could decide that 1 claim is worth, 1 of Amber claims is worth more than 3 Johnny claims. They didn't, but they could have. So even if they knew everything, they knew nothing.
Yeah, this is true. At the end of the day, I thought they threw a little bit of a bone to Amber Heard for, I guess, what, Johnny Depp's bad behavior at the end of the day, but he was clearly the winner today. All right, thank you so much, Vinnie, for joining me. But actually, stick around, folks. I'm Michael Ayala. Coming up next, Vinnie Politan returns with closing arguments live from Fairfax, Virginia. So keep it right here on Court TV.
best prices ever. From extra warm polar fleece jackets and our famous go-to sweats, we have what you need to stay warm all winter long. Go to Fabletics.com and get any 2 bottoms for $24.
Breaking news in Fairfax County, Virginia. The jury has reached a verdict in Johnny Depp versus Amber Heard.
Do you find that Mr. Depp has proven all the elements of defamation? Answer, yes.
Never did I myself reach the point of striking Miss Heard in any way, nor have I ever struck any woman.
We are live at the courthouse with all the reaction and all the fallout from this shocking moment.
Today's verdict confirms what we have said from the beginning, that the claims against Johnny Depp are defamatory and unsupported by any evidence.
As against Amber Heard, we, the jury, award compensatory damages in the amount of $10 million.
Plus, tonight's 13th juror question, was justice served? Do you agree with the jury? Get ready, our verdict coverage of Johnny Depp versus Amber Heard starts right now.
I'm Vinnie Politan. Welcome to this very special closing arguments live from Fairfax County, Virginia. It is verdict night in one of the biggest cases we have ever covered, one of the most bizarre cases we have ever covered, Johnny Depp versus Amber Heard. Now, for those of you who know the history between these two, they got married, they got divorced, but there was no divorce trial. Instead, we've had a couple of defamation trials. The first one was over in the UK. Amber Heard, not a party to the case, but a big part of the case. It involved allegations that he was a wife beater. And in that case in the UK, Johnny Depp lost. And it was the decision that was made by one 71-year-old man. Okay? System of justice a little different in the UK. Not saying it's better, not saying it's worse, but it's different. And the verdict was delivered by one person who doesn't go through the same process vetting that we have here in the United States, where it is 7 citizens in Fairfax County, Virginia, who decided this case. And they went through a system of vetting, so you find out, you know, is there a reason why they shouldn't serve on the jury? Is there a reason why they shouldn't make that decision? And that's an important part of every trial here in the United States, is getting a fair and impartial jury. Both sides have an opportunity to question the prospective jurors. The judge has an opportunity. So if anyone has any sort of leaning one way or the other, or some sort of a conflict, I don't know, like maybe your son-in-law works for someone connected to the case, then you'd be off the case. So you get 7 people who just come to court because they got a notice in the mail and they bring no preconceived notions of what the case is about. And that's what happened here, because this case, think about it, this was the ultimate he said, she said. There were 2 versions of what happened. There was Johnny Depp's version and there was Amber Heard's version. And we sat here for weeks to listen to both of them. We heard firsthand accounts from Johnny Depp, firsthand accounts from Amber Heard. So the 7 people who came down here to the courthouse and had an opportunity to hear those stories, evaluate the witnesses. Think about what they're saying. Does it make sense? Does it jive with the rest of the evidence in the case? And then they put it all together. That's what happened here. Didn't happen over there. Different system. Not saying it's worse, not saying it's better, but trying to put some perspective on what happened here. Now, another difference here in our trial in the United States is us, Court TV, right? It's a he said, she said, so they said it, but we got to see it. So it's not just words of what was testified to, we got to see and hear the demeanor. How important is that? It's not just what you say, it's how you say it. That's how we listen to someone and determine, are they telling me the truth? Are they being straight with me? Are they making something up? Are they exaggerating? Are they lying about something? So it's not just the words, it's the way they testified. So we, this time around, got to see it because of the court TV cameras and the court TV microphones inside the courtroom. And we saw what happened on TikTok, right? Overwhelming. I mean, this is where the public spoke, right? They speak on the other platforms as well, and it's similar, but it really blew up on TikTok, where everyone listened and watched Amber Heard on the witness stand, didn't buy it, didn't believe it. And guess what? The 7 jurors in the jury box inside the courthouse, in the courtroom, were in sync with what was happening on social media. So in this case, we got to see justice and understand justice. It wasn't just words that were spoken. It was testimony that was given, testimony that was evaluated by everyone watching, and evaluated by the 7 jurors who delivered this verdict.
All right, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, what I need you to do, I need to give the forms back to you. When you find for a defamatory statement, 1 or more, you need to fill out the compensatory damages. It has to be at least $1 for compensatory damages and up to whatever you feel the damages should be. And for punitive damages, you can put a 0 there, or you can fill out that as well, but I need those lines filled out, okay? All right, so if I can have you retire back to the deliberation room and do that for me, okay?
As to the statement appearing in the online op-ed entitled, Amber Heard, I spoke up against sexual violence and faced our culture's wrath. That has to change. In the Washington Post online edition, quote, I spoke up against sexual violence and faced our culture's wrath. That has to change, end quote. Do you find that Mr. Depp has proven all the elements of defamation? Answer, yes. 2, as to the statement appearing in the op-ed entitled, A Transformative Moment for Women in the Washington Post print edition and the online op-ed, Amber Heard, I spoke up against sexual violence and faced our culture's wrath. That has to change. In the Washington Post online edition. Quote, then 2 years ago, I became a public figure representing domestic abuse, and I felt the full force of our culture's wrath for women who speak out, end quote. Do you find that Mr. Depp has proven all the elements of defamation? Answer, yes. 3, as to the statement appearing in the op-ed entitled, A Transformative Moment for Women in the Washington Post print edition and the online op-ed, Amber Heard, I spoke up against sexual violence and faced our culture's wrath. That has to change. In the Washington Post online edition. Quote, I had the rare vantage point of seeing in real time how institutions protect men accused of abuse, end quote. Do you find that Mr. Depp has proven all the elements of defamation? Answer, yes. As against Amber Heard, we, the jury, award compensatory damages in the amount of $10 million. As against Amber Heard, we, the jury, award punitive damages in the amount of $5 million. 1, as to this statement appearing in the April 8, 2020 online edition of the Daily Mail, quote, Amber Heard and her friends in the media use fake sexual violence allegations as both a sword and shield, depending on their needs. They have selected some of her sexual violence hoax facts as the sword, inflicting them on the public and Mr. Depp. Do you find that Ms. Heard has proven all the elements of defamation? Answer, no. As to this statement appearing in the April 27, 2020 online edition of the Daily Mail, quote, quite simply, this was an ambush, a hoax. They set Mr. Depp up by calling the cops, but the first attempt did not do the trick. The officers came to the penthouses, thoroughly searched and interviewed, and left after seeing no damage to face or property. So Amber and her friends spilled a little wine and roughed the place up, got their story straight under the direction of a lawyer and publicist, and then placed a second call to 911, end quote. Do Do you find that Ms. Heard has proven all the elements of defamation? Answer, yes. 3, as to this statement appearing in the April 27th, 2020 online edition of the Daily Mail, quote, "We've reached the beginning of the end of Ms. Heard's abuse hoax against Johnny Depp," end quote. Do you find that Ms. Heard has proven all the elements of defamation? Answer, no. As against John C. Depp II, we, the jury, award compensatory damages in the amount of $2 million. As against John C. Depp II, we, the jury, award punitive damages in the amount of $0.
What a day here in Fairfax County, Virginia. You got to bring in some guests who are inside the courtroom, know a lot about what happened, give us a lot of perspective tonight. Joining me, of course, Court TV legal correspondent Chanley Painter with us. Next to her, Nick Wallace, journalist. You got to check him out in the Reporting Depp v. Heard podcast. Amazing insight into this case. Make sure you download and listen. All right, Chanley, I want to start with you. You're in there. Take us into the courtroom, the moment, the tension, some of the things that our cameras didn't necessarily pick up. What happened?
All right, Vinny, let's start at the beginning. I mean, it was electric inside the courtroom. First of all, we had the gallery packed, not as packed as testimony, but still full of Johnny Depp fans. And of course, the deputies being strict, no talking. So it was like silent. Everyone kept taking deep breaths. And I could hear whispers of 5 minutes away. 3 minutes away, waiting for the judge to enter. And of course, Amber Heard entered very dramatically. She smiled, big smile, to her attorneys, sat there, and then the judge entered. Now, I always have my eyes on the jury. The jury enters the first time, none of them looking towards Amber Heard. They seemed focused, they seemed serious, confident, handed over the verdict form. They were told, go back and work, fill it out. But when they came back, the second time, entered the courtroom the same way. Amber Heard looked to her sister Whitney in the gallery behind her and mouthed, "I love you, sis."
Wow.
And then, of course, the verdicts were read. It took quite a while for the verdicts to be read. The jury had no reaction. They were stoic. Nothing really shone on their faces. There was a slight moment where the foreperson, the one young man on the front row, probably 20s or 30s, dressed up today for court, wore his sports coat. Before they transitioned to the verdicts for Amber, he had kind of this, lifted his head a little bit, took a deep breath, sigh. That was interesting to me, given what was to come. And now the verdict's read, everyone leaves, and Amber quickly left the courtroom as well after hugging her attorneys. But they did issue a statement on behalf of Amber Heard. She didn't speak to the media, of course, but in part her statement read, "The disappointment I feel today is beyond words. I'm heartbroken that the mountain of evidence still was not enough to stand up to the disproportionate power, influence, and sway of my ex-husband. I'm even more disappointed with what this verdict means for other women. It is a setback." It goes on for several more paragraphs there for what Amber Heard is feeling after this verdict.
And the big thing, I mean, Johnny Depp wasn't here.
Right.
Not here.
It was noticeable.
Did he release a statement?
He did release a statement through his spokesperson. It is a long statement, but here is what it says in part. At the beginning, it says, 6 years ago, my life, the life of my children, the lives of those closest to me, and also the lives of the people who for many, many years have supported and believed in me were forever changed, all in the blink of an eye. False, very serious, and criminal allegations were levied at me via the media, which triggered an endless barrage of hateful content, although no charges were ever brought against me. He goes on to thank, of course, the resounding support that he's received in this and acknowledges the court, the judge, the jurors, his awesome legal team, of course, and finally finishes up by saying the best is yet to come and a new chapter has finally begun. Truth never perishes.
Okay, a little bit of confusion here with the damages. Just do a little bit of math for us and get us to what's the bottom line here.
Math? I went to law school, so I wouldn't have to do math. But the jury had to go back and figure something out. They agreed for Johnny Depp. Now, finding all three statements were defamatory towards him, rewarded him $10 million in compensatory damages.
$10 million, got it, go.
And then $5 million in punitive damages, meaning that these statements were made indeed with actual malice. Now, they did not know there's a cap of punitive damages here in the state of Virginia.
So it'll be reduced.
It will be reduced to $350,000.
Okay, $350K, gotcha.
The judge did make that note. And then for Amber Heard, because they did find that one of the 3 statements she countersued Depp for was defamatory towards her. So they rewarded her $2 million in compensatory damages and $0 in punitive.
So at the end of the day, it's $8.35 million from Amber Heard to Johnny Depp, which, if you subtract the $7 million from the divorce, he's up 1.35.
Makes sense?
Basically. Okay.
He did the math for me.
I want to hear from you, Chanley, because I have you right here.
Okay.
Give us a little perspective on this case, this trial, this moment.
Unbelievable, surreal. It's difficult to put into words the magnitude of the last 6, well now almost 7 weeks of this trial. We were here from the very beginning, Vinny, jury selection day, and it has been unreal to witness in person how the crowds, I'll use your word, avalanche of support descended upon Fairfax City, Virginia. I mean, dozens and dozens of fans lined up, as Nick well knows, early morning, sometimes 24 hours ahead of time to gain a wristband, to get in line, to have a seat inside the courtroom. That's the back of the courthouse. It swells, it's throngs of fans lining up. Security has to be in place to see Johnny Depp come and go every day. We see signs, we see people dressed up as pirates. We see alpacas, your favorite, my favorite, the alpacas out and about. People from far and wide here to be a part of this time, really in history. This will go down in the history books as one of those landmark cases.
It really is in the history of Court TV as well. All right, Nick Wallace, sitting patiently by. I wanted you here. Yeah.
Not just sitting patiently.
It's been a long day for you, I know, so I appreciate you being here. I just want, because you were there at the UK trial.
Yes.
You were here for this trial. Give me your perspective, what you're thinking about tonight in this moment.
We've got 2 completely opposite results. And I thought what you said at the beginning of the program about the jury verdicts from an American jury of peers who come with no side when they're selected. And I was there when I met you on the very first day during jury selection, and I saw how fair that process is. And they took exactly the same view as the great American public from what they saw on Court TV. They saw through Amber Heard, and the jury saw through Amber Heard. They were not convinced on the basis of truth that what was said, what she wrote in her op-ed for the Washington Post in 2018 was anywhere close to being a correct interpretation of whatever experience she's gone through. And she has questions to answer now. She might have convinced a judge in the UK on the basis that he found her to be a credible witness, despite the judge actively ignoring some evidence that went against her credibility, for instance, the smuggling of the dogs into Australia. And he put that to one side, clearly found her credible, otherwise he would not have made the findings that he did in the UK trial. But now she's been on worldwide television, she's been examined very, very closely on really strict tramlines by a jury. The amount of evidence that they get to see is very, very tightly controlled and argued up until the very, very point it reaches them. So you have to look at this process as being utterly transparent and completely fair. And it's amazing that it matches what it seems like most of the general public have seen and drawn their own conclusions throughout the duration of this trial. So I think there will be doctoral theses written about the difference between the 2 results in the UK and the US. Yes, they were slightly different in content, and yes, of course, he was suing a newspaper and not Amber Heard over there. But a lot of the truth of the matter was substantially the same. So how did you come up with such a diametrically opposite result?
It's unbelievable. Nick, I appreciate you staying late. Great job. Again, check out his podcast, Reporting Depp v. Heard. Chanley Painter will still be with us, but I want to bring in another guest right now, someone else we've been speaking to throughout the course of this trial. Dominic Patton, senior editor for Deadline Hollywood, joins us from L.A. Dominic, thanks so much for joining us here on Verdict Night. I always appreciate your perspective, your insight. I have one big question for you tonight. Did Johnny Depp get his career back today?
No, not at all.
Why
I think
not?
that Johnny Depp, because I think that this was a messy, mixed verdict. And I think that it leaves a lot of unanswered questions. There's obviously going to be an appeal. And I think that you're seeing already some of the reaction we're seeing. You know, Amber Heard's PR people chose their words very carefully. We're seeing a reaction here about, in an America that's already stunned from probably seeing Roe versus Wade overturned, this is now being framed as an attack against women, as a justification of attack against women. the fact of the matter is, Vinny, and by the way, you guys have been doing an amazing job there, both in the studio and on site in Virginia, the great Old Dominion. This was a case of bad lawyering, my friend. Bad lawyering. They should have had this.
By whom? By whom?
By Amber's side. By Amber's side. They should have had this. I saw again, the closing argument by Ben Rottenborn, who was one of Amber's main lawyers, when he took this right down and laser pinned it onto the First Amendment, and that these were issues of the First Amendment. And yet somehow, within minutes of him finishing that, her other attorney then started getting dragged into the weeds again about what this was all about. Johnny Depp's lawyers, I've been very critical of them, and I'll continue to be, but they laid a trap. They laid, as you called it earlier, the he said, she said trap. And Amber Heard's lawyers fell right into that trap when they should have stepped back from the weeds, in my opinion, and said, hey, this is about the First Amendment. We have some audio tapes here of what we believe are verbal abuse. There was, at the very least, a headbutt, which he might think was accidental, and she doesn't. But let's say, on a matter of perspective, that's her perspective of violent abuse. That is also domestic abuse. So we're done, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, because the simple matter is, she was telling the truth. But it got so muddled. This was so muddled, my friend, that the verdict is Johnny wins on his case, and she wins on the second count of her case, which kind of contradicts their first one. This jury had questions about the headlines they were supposed to be looking at. They had questions about, they didn't even put in damages. There was so much confusion in what was being brought here that I think when you talk to people, and I've told you this story before, Vinny, and I'm sorry to bore your viewers with it again, I have had people coming to me during this trial saying, oh my God, I've been reading your coverage. Why do you think Amber Heard sued Johnny Depp for domestic abuse? And I've said, she never did. What are you talking about? They thought that's what the trial was about. They thought very little knowledge, and you guys have spoken about it eloquently before here, about the UK trial, where Johnny Depp was found on at least 12 occasions by that judge. And as you said, different system, neither better, neither worse, but he was found on that. That was almost negated in this case. Again, the judge said you couldn't talk about it, but they could find ways to talk about it. The lawyering was muddled.
Dominic Patton, senior editor, Deadline Hollywood. Check him out, folks, getting inside information on this story and many, many others. Thanks so much, Dominic.
Thank you, my friend.
All right, when we come back, folks, we got a lot to get to. We're going to bring in our guests, analyze everything that happened here today, including statements made by Johnny Depp's team afterwards, the incredible round of applause that they got on the exit from the building, all that straight ahead. Don't go anywhere. We're breaking it down all the way up until 10 o'clock tonight.
Join Calibrate.com.
About 6 years ago, Ms. Heard made some quite heinous and disturbing, brought these disturbing criminal acts against me that were not based in any species of truth, but never did I myself reach the point of striking Ms. Heard in any way, nor have I ever struck any woman.
And today, the jury unanimously agreeing with Johnny Depp, believing Johnny Depp. Welcome back to our special coverage. I got the red tie on. You know what that means? It's verdict night here on Court TV. We're at the courthouse in Fairfax County, Virginia, where just a couple hours ago, after this verdict came down, you had Johnny Depp's legal team exit the building behind me. Crowd goes wild. They make a statement. Take a look.
Hi, everyone. Today's verdict confirms what we have said from the beginning, that the claims against Johnny Depp are defamatory and unsupported by any evidence. We are grateful, so grateful to the jury for their careful deliberation, to the judge and the court staff who have devoted an enormous amount of time and resources towards this case.
Our judicial system is predicated on each person's right to have his or her case heard, and we were honored, truly honored, to assist Mr. Depp in ensuring that his case was fairly considered throughout the trial. We are also most pleased that the trial has resonated for so many people in the public who value truth and justice. Now that the judge has reached its conclusive verdict, it's time to turn the page and look to the future. Thank you all so much, and thanks to the jury.
Thank you so much.
Turning the page and looking to the future, you know, what's the impact of this verdict? And during this program, I want to break it down for how it impacts Johnny Depp and Amber Heard. We're going to start with Johnny Depp. Let me bring in our guest tonight. What a great panel we have. Lamor Mojdehiyazad, family law litigator, TikTok lawyer at Lawyer Lamor, host of Love and Order podcast. She's in Los Angeles. Also with us down in Orlando, Florida, Susan Constantine, body language expert, founder of the Human Behavior Academy, and Court TV alum, Dr. Wendy Walsh, psychology professor, America's relationship expert. She also in Los Angeles tonight. Thank you, everyone, for being here on Verdict Night. Lamor, let me begin with you. Your thoughts about what this means and some perspective for Johnny Depp tonight. Johnny Depp, from his perspective, what does this all mean, do you think?
From Johnny Depp's perspective, the jury has changed his life. He has been burdened by 6 years of lies, of allegations that he knew were untrue. And the jury just, I think, did give him his career back.
Susan Constantine, looking at this case, I said off the top, he said, she said, this jury, like America, like the world, got to see and hear the testimony, judge the credibility, read the way Johnny Depp testified, the way Amber Heard testified. Your thoughts about Johnny Depp tonight?
Well, first of all, welcome to my world, because this is what I do. And this is a case about demeanor evidence. And we saw this clearly come through both in Johnny Depp and Amber Heard throughout the entire testimony. Their demeanor, both of them, you could tell even an unskilled person could tell the difference when Amber Heard was being deceptive, and also at the same time see the authenticity and the genuineness about Johnny Depp. It was felt, it was heartfelt. And I think that's what gripped America and not only the world, because they could see such a stark resemblance or a stark contrast of the two of them, of what was superficial and artificial and what was real and authentic and believable. And this was all about demeanor evidence. And that's what I think that they were both judged on and by this jury.
Dr. Wendy Walsh, your thoughts tonight, your reaction, your thoughts about Johnny Depp specifically tonight, as this jury has found that he was defamed.
Well, I think he's a better actor than Amber Heard. That's what I think. I feel today the exact same feelings I felt at the very end of the O.J. Simpson trial, when I was placed at a domestic violence hotline to monitor the calls coming in from terrified women who said, you know, my husband said he's going to O.J. me now. I feel that this is the greatest misunderstanding of the jury, who got swept up in fan culture. This is not the Super Bowl, folks. Also, this wasn't a domestic violence trial. This wasn't a divorce trial. This was a defamation trial. And the jury forgot to listen to the instructions from the judge. All you had to prove was that at one time, she was a victim of domestic violence. It could have even been emotional abuse. I mean, there's audio of him saying, or text of him saying, I would beep, beep, beep her dead, burnt corpse to make sure she's dead. That alone is abuse. This woman and he were in a traumatic bond. Their therapist admitted that they abused each other. You only need one incident from his side to prove that she wasn't lying. But yet, everybody got swept up in the fan culture. Apparently, TikTok is weighing in on trials these days. Look, I have 1 million followers on TikTok, and in a minute, I'm going to go live, and I will give people a piece of my mind. This is a downfall for women in America.
Much more to talk about tonight. Don't go anywhere. Our guests are staying with us. They're all fired up. Verdict night, folks. Johnny Depp, make no mistake, he won this case to the tune of $8.35 million. We'll be right back.
police officers, one domestic violence trained female police officer, who've testified over and over and over that there was no damage to the penthouse, which Ms. Heard claimed was destroyed. That's a direct quote, destroyed. There are, that I can think of, 9 other witnesses, the majority of whom are either neutral or actually, well, Ms. Heard's own witnesses, who have testified in various forums, various times, that there were no injuries to her face whatsoever between the 21st and the 27th, when suddenly there were bruises.
That's Adam Waldman, Johnny Depp's lawyer. It was his statements that Amber Heard said were defamatory against her. There were 3 statements in the lawsuit. 1 of 3 was found to be defamatory, but Amber Heard was only awarded $2 million, only $2 million in damages. So that would end up being sort of subtracted from Johnny's award against her. So the jury did not believe Adam Waldman's account of the 21st, the whole incident of it being a setup, a hoax, that they went and they spilled wine and all of that. So they found that Amber Heard was defamed and that she was telling, or Adam Waldman was not telling the truth about her as an agent of Johnny Depp. Now, her testimony of that vicious sexual assault in Australia, let me remind you what she testified to, was not believed by this jury. Take a listen.
The next thing I remember, I was bent over backwards on the bar, meaning my chest was up. I was staring at the blue lights and my chest was on this, my back was on the countertops. And I thought he was punching me. I felt this pressure. On my pubic bone. I thought he was punching me. And I remember that it's just not wanting to move. Because I didn't know if it was broken. I didn't know if the bottle that he had inside me was broken.
Jury didn't buy it. They didn't buy it. They did not believe her. Let me bring back in my guests, Limor Mojdeh-Hiyazad, Susan Constantine, and Dr. Wendy Walsh, still with us. Susan, I want to start with you as we talk about Amber Heard here in this segment. Her reaction at verdict time, did you see or notice anything from her?
Yes, you know, when she first walked in, she did have some hope and some confidence when she walked in, but you slowly saw that deplete as she heard that verdict read one after the other. And you saw where her head went down, and you would see like these little punches when the verdict was read. You'd see this quick little flutter of her eyes, and that was giving you an indication that that was like news that was shocking to her. But you didn't really see that in her demeanor. So what I saw when her head was tilted down, her eyes were closed down, she really went into what we call that surrendering position. And we see that a lot when somebody feels embarrassed or feels shame. And so this is not what I would call authentic sadness, because those expressions don't match up, because I do a coding system based on Dr. Ekman's work, and it didn't meet the criterion. So in any ways, when I was looking at her, that's what I saw, is that she went into that surrendering position of shame, embarrassment, and you could see their whole demeanor just diminished and went flat right before our eyes as she heard every single one of those verdicts come out.
Okay, Limor, you are the TikTok lawyer at Lawyer Limor. This jury, and I noted this before, this jury in sync with the reaction of the overwhelming majority of people who are posting about this case, that watched what our cameras were showing everyone. It's the jury saw it the same way it seems everyone else saw it. Your thoughts about that, about the fact that this was a case of credibility, and it seemed like the jury saw it exactly the same way, that Amber Heard was not telling the truth.
Right, our court system is put in place in this fashion, to have people who are impartial, who are not too emotional about either side or the topic at hand, right? So the population of TikTok is the jury. They have more in common with the jury than any of us here on the panel do, right? You want those people on your jury, not us who already have a framework of how the system maybe should work, right? Those are the jurors, and they saw it the same exact way as those 7 people. And it's true. This is a defamation case. So I think that it's on all of us as professionals to remind everyone, this has nothing to do with DV as a whole. DV is not a gendered issue, right? Anyone can be a victim, anyone can be a perpetrator. This was a defamation case. These jurors had a job to do, and that was to fill out that special verdict form based on the element. And TikTok saw it exactly the same way, even if some professionals didn't.
Dr. Wendy Walsh, let me ask you, what do you think happened here? Was it people believing Johnny Depp or not believing Amber Heard? Do you understand what I'm trying to get at here? Was it the reaction to Amber Heard, oh, I don't believe what she's saying, or was it, oh, I believe what Johnny Depp is saying?
Well, before I answer, Vinny, I want to make sure I keep my chin nice and high so you don't think for a second that I'm surrendering to anything. First of all, this was called by psychologists the bandwagon effect. So yes, it may have started on social media with the fandom of Johnny Depp. And as people came on board, just like those that follow Kim Kardashian, just because everybody does, then everybody jumped on the bandwagon of Johnny Depp. It felt good to have an evil woman they could all hate together. And I think that he was a better actor up there. I just want to remind everybody that she could have lied about 90% on that stand. But in that editorial, she only had to prove that at one time he was abusive to her, whether it was physical, whether it was emotional, whether it was sexual. The 90% of the other time, I think, was probably a little overkill because they were both going at it back and forth, tit for tat. But the truth is, we will be back. There will be an appeal, and she'll have better lawyers this time. The winner today isn't Johnny Depp. It's Camille Vasquez, his lawyer, whose fees are certain to go up tonight.
Oh, no doubt there, no doubt there. Great job tonight. I appreciate everyone coming out tonight, especially on verdict night. Great to have your perspectives. Lamor Moshe Dehizat, Susan Constantine, Dr. Wendy Walsh. We'll see you again really, really soon. When we come back, Chanley Painter will rejoin me here. We'll talk about a little bit about what happened outside here and some of the reaction from around the world. Don't go anywhere.
pumpkin. Get it before you need it.
Do you find that Mr. Depp has proven all the elements of defamation? Answer, yes.
What a scene. Inside the courthouse, outside the courthouse, verdict night. We're live in Fairfax County, Virginia. Red tie, you know what that means. Johnny Depp, the big winner today, and the crowd reacting to all of it. Let me bring back in Court TV legal correspondent Chanley Painter, who was here throughout this entire thing. Let's talk more about what happened outside the courthouse today.
Unbelievable. A sea of fans, media lining up. It was almost like a red carpet because they had it roped off right outside this entrance and for the attorneys because Johnny Depp wasn't here in person. So this was a huge crowd awaiting the rock star attorneys of Johnny Depp.
And let's take a look at what happened outside. Now, the amazing part, Chanley, is lawyers don't get rock star treatment.
No.
But these lawyers did.
How inspiring. Maybe more people want to become an attorney now if it's so glamorous, right? But what we don't see are the years of work and preparation that went into this case. I poured through the court file. There are hundreds and hundreds of documents that this team of attorneys really have worked over the years for, so they deserve the adulation there. But I want to also show you this moment because as the verdicts are being read, the crowd, of course, is listening, and they start cheering. Let's watch. Something else, Vinny. That, of course, was shot by our amazing producer, Virginia.
Right. Now Johnny Depp not here. Could you imagine if he was? The scene here, it would have been to a whole nother level. Didn't happen.
Another level. Like blocks. It would have extended blocks, Vinny, of people lined up to see him.
And maybe for the deputies and everyone else involved, it might have been a good thing that he wasn't here for this celebration that would have taken place. What about the media today?
So media, we're sitting in an area that has been lined with media, but nothing like we've seen today. I mean, it was camera after camera after camera. And there was a designated area right to my left here where it was for potential press conference. And it was probably the most cameras I've seen at a press conference, possibly even more than the Harvey Weinstein trial more than 3 years ago. It was a giant, massive amount of media from all over the world, Vinny, here, spread out across this courthouse to cover this most fascinating case. People were glued to their screen, their phone, to Court TV, all over the world.
Yeah, and there were, I mean, you say all over the world, it's true. It's not just the United States, not just the UK.
It's not. We have Germany, Australia. We caught up with some of the reporters I've gotten to know here on the ground from all over the world. Let's take a listen.
We are from Poland. Poland has a war going on next. So this is, those are the issues that we are concerned with. But there are also, those certain moments when you would like to, gossip a bit. And that's what we are doing, gossiping a tiny bit.
We've been getting the feed from the courtroom as everyone else in the world, thanks to Court TV, and Norwegian viewers have been fascinated to follow what's been going on there, all the personal details that have come to the surface and all that.
Reporters here from Poland, Norway, and it's so fascinating. They cover the war. It's kind of a moment of just release to cover this, and they give us credit. Those were our Court TV cameras inside this courtroom, bringing it to the entire world.
That's right. And a couple documentaries being shot here as well that will be coming out on the big screen, so we'll see that as well. Chanley Painter, folks, amazing job.
Thank you, Vinny.
Take the rest of the night off. relax, enjoy the moment of not having to wake up first thing to be back in the courtroom waiting for this verdict. All right, Chanley Page, your Court TV legal correspondent. When we come back, we'll bring in our legal think tank. Don't go anywhere.
Sell-off buildings.
Breaking news in Fairfax County, Virginia. The jury has reached a verdict in Johnny Depp versus Amber Heard.
Do you find that Mr. Depp has proven all the elements of defamation? Answer, yes.
Never did I myself reach the point of striking Miss Heard in any way, nor have I ever struck any woman.
We are live at the courthouse with all the reaction and all the fallout from this shocking moment.
Today's verdict confirms what we have said from the beginning, that the claims against Johnny Depp are defamatory and unsupported by any evidence.
As against Amber Heard, we, the jury, award compensatory damages in the amount of $10 million.
Plus, tonight's 13th juror question, was justice served? Do you agree with the jury? Get ready, our verdict coverage of Johnny Depp versus Amber Heard starts right now.
I'm Vinnie Politan. Great to have you with us tonight. Special edition of Closing Arguments live at the courthouse in Fairfax County, Virginia, where today the jury spoke, and the jury spoke loudly. Want to give you a little perspective about what really happened today inside this courthouse. Because think about what this case was about. This was about a man who said, wait a minute. I am not an abuser. I am not a sexual abuser. I am not a domestic abuser. And I've been publicly accused of it. My name, my face has been splashed across publications around the world. Pictures of my so-called victim have been put on magazine covers all over the internet with injuries that I caused. This was about someone trying so desperately to do something that we always joke about. Hey, where do I go to get my reputation back? There's only one place where you can go if you've been defamed. The courthouse. The courthouse. Put your case in front of a jury. Let them decide. Let them speak for you. Let them tell your truth to the world about who you really are, what you really did or did not do, and what actually happened. And that's what today is about. There's an award, there's money, there's all of that. But at the end of the day, in the world we live in now, where we've been told to believe people when they make accusations. And it's, you know, many times they are true. But what if? What if that accusation isn't true? We live in the land where criminal defendants, murderers, serial killers are all given the presumption of innocence. But what if you're accused of being a domestic abuser or a sexual abuser? Are you still getting that today? And how about for someone who was accused of it but never charged with it? Like, where do you go to prove it? Like, if you're charged with it, you go to court, there's a trial, and the jury speaks. But if you're just accused of it but never charged with it, like, what do you do? Where do you go? Once again, you go to the courthouse, you force the issue. Not everyone can afford to do it. Johnny Depp could, and he did. And at the end of the day, he got his reputation back because the jury rendered this verdict.
All right, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, what I need you to do, I need to give the forms back to you. When you find for a defamatory statement, one or more, you need to fill out the compensatory damages. It has to be at least $1 for compensatory damages and up to whatever you feel the damages should be. And for punitive damages, you can put a 0 there, or you can fill out that as well, but I need those lines filled out, okay? All right, so if I can have you retire back to the deliberation room and do that for me, okay?
As to the statement appearing in the online op-ed entitled, Amber Heard, I spoke up against sexual violence and faced our culture's wrath. That has to change. In the Washington Post online edition, quote, I spoke up against sexual violence and faced our culture's wrath. That has to change, end quote. Do you find that Mr. Depp has proven all the elements of defamation? Answer, yes. 2, as to the statement appearing in the op-ed entitled "A Transformative Moment for Women" in the Washington Post print edition and the online op-ed, Amber Heard, I spoke up against sexual violence and faced our culture's wrath. That has to change, in the Washington Post online edition. Quote, then 2 years ago, I became a public figure representing domestic abuse, and I felt the full force of our culture's wrath for women who speak out, end quote. Do you find that Mr. Depp has proven all the elements of defamation? Answer, yes. 3, as to the statement appearing in the op-ed entitled "A Transformative Moment for Women" in the Washington Post print edition and the online op-ed, Amber Heard, I spoke up against sexual violence and faced our culture's wrath. That has to change, in the Washington Post online edition. Quote, I had the rare vantage point of seeing in real time how institutions protect men accused of abuse, end quote. Do you find that Mr. Depp has proven all the elements of defamation? Answer, yes. As against Amber Heard, we, the jury, award compensatory damages in the amount of $10 million. As against Amber Heard, we, the jury, award punitive damages in the amount of $5 million. 1. As to this statement, appearing in the April 8, 2020 online edition of the Daily Mail, quote, Amber Heard and her friends in the media use fake sexual violence allegations as both a sword and shield, depending on their needs. They have selected some of her sexual violence hoax facts as the sword, inflicting them on the public and Mr. Depp. Do you find that Ms. Heard has proven all the elements of defamation? Answer, no. As to this statement appearing in the April 27, 2020 online edition of the Daily Mail, quote, quite simply, this was an ambush, a hoax. They set Mr. Depp up by calling the cops, but the first attempt did not do the trick. The officers came to the penthouses, thoroughly searched and interviewed, and left after seeing no damage to face or property. So Amber and her friends spilled a little wine and roughed the place up, got their story straight under the direction of a lawyer and publicist, and then placed a second call to 911, end quote. Do you find that Ms. Heard has proven all the elements of defamation? Answer, yes. 3, as to this statement appearing in the April 27, 2020 online edition of the Daily Mail, quote, we've reached the beginning of the end of Ms. Heard's abuse hoax against Johnny Depp, end quote. Do you find that Ms. Heard has proven all the elements of defamation? Answer, no. As against John C. Depp II, we, the jury, award compensatory damages in the amount of $2 million. As against John C. Depp II, we, the jury, award punitive damages in the amount of $0.
I did the math for you folks already. Johnny Depp plus $8.35 million after today's verdict by this jury, because the $5 million punitive gets reduced to $350,000 because of the law here in Virginia. Jury doesn't know that ahead of time. Judge takes care of that. But Johnny Depp plus $8.35 million that Amber Heard will owe him at the end of this whole case. Johnny Depp's team spoke afterwards, addressed the crowd that went nuts as they exited the building. Take a look.
Hi, everyone. Today's verdict confirms what we have said from the beginning, that the claims against Johnny Depp are defamatory and unsupported by any evidence. We are grateful, so grateful to the jury for their careful deliberation, to the judge and the court staff who have devoted an enormous amount of time and resources towards this case.
Our judicial system is predicated on each person's right to have his or her case heard, and we were honored, truly honored, to assist Mr. Depp in ensuring that his case was fairly considered throughout the trial. We are also most pleased that the trial has resonated for so many people in the public who value truth and justice. Now that the has reached its conclusive verdict, it's time to turn the page and look to the future. Thank you all so much, and thanks to the jury.
Thank you so much.
So is this a game changer? I think it's a huge game changer, this verdict. Is this the beginning of the hashtag #MenToo movement? Is this now giving a path to people who've been falsely accused to redeem themselves, to get their names back? Let me bring in our think tank tonight. Joining us in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, Sue Ann Robinson, former prosecutor, former assistant state attorney, civil rights attorney, criminal defense attorney. Great to see you, Sue Ann. Nima Rahmani, you know him, former federal prosecutor. He's out in La La Land, Los Angeles, California, where all these people live. Kirk Nurmi is also with us out of Phoenix, Arizona. Represented Jodi Arias. You remember that trial, that verdict. Author of Trapped with Ms. Arias, a book series that you really need to read. Great to have everyone with us tonight. Sue Ann, give me some perspective tonight. What are you thinking? Is this a game changer? Is this now the beginning of the #MenToo movement? Is this now giving a path to those who have been falsely accused to get their names back?
I don't think so. I just don't see it as such. I think the jury's verdict was super fair. I think the jury really sat there all these weeks and they looked at the details. And the reason I say that is because the verdict is actually kind of split. They did make a ruling in Amber Heard's favor as to Johnny Depp's lawyer's comment when he went into the details of what he claims Amber Heard and her friends were doing. And I think that verdict and their ruling on that particular count says, listen, we're all for people having their opinion on what happened and having their perspective. But when you go into these details that are just lies, that's not acceptable. And I think that's what the trial was about. And I also think Amber Heard lost the jury when they heard that she pooped in the bed. If you poop in someone's bed, your case is dead.
That may very well be true. Nima Rahmani, your thoughts tonight. I see this really as a game changer because we're in an era where, you know, if you get accused, it's like, well, where do I go? What do I do? How do I get my name, my reputation back? This was a public figure. This was not a regular, ordinary citizen. A public figure won big time in a defamation case.
I agree, Vinny. This is a game changer. And first, I got to tip my hat to Kurt, who's called this from the get-go. But this was a complete and total win for Johnny Depp. But it was also the most extraordinary legal and political comeback I've ever seen. Let's not forget where he was after the UK trial, and talking heads like me thought he had no chance in this case. And bit by bit, he turned the entire nation's consensus in his favor. But this is why it's a game changer, Vinny, because those who are accused are often rich, powerful men, politicians, entertainers, actors, CEOs. They have the money, and the best defense is a good offense. And we've seen this with former President Trump and how he's used defamation laws. Now with Johnny Depp, this is the roadmap to win if you are falsely accused. I expect to see a lot more of these defamation lawsuits filed.
But you have to be falsely accused, right? You have to be falsely. Kirk Nurmi, as Nima said, you called it from day one. I mean, you were reading the testimony, the reaction, everything. Your thoughts tonight on this verdict?
Well, you know, I was a little surprised by some of the inconsistency in it in terms of the finding for Amber Heard, why they went back in that after finding so strongly for Mr. Depp. But one thing I thought was telling in all this, and I do agree with you and Nima that it is a game changer, but it might be of limited ability because it might only be the rich and powerful that can bring a suit like that. The average guy on the street might not be able to. But the one thing I thought was really telling about this verdict was, even though it's going to be reduced, those punitive damages, $5 million for Depp. And to hear the clerk say $0 for Heard, that was, to me, the biggest blow of this whole thing, because we figured we're going to pay you maybe half of what you would have made in Aquaman. We ain't giving you one penny because we don't believe anything you said to us.
Sue Ann, you know, I look at what happened here tonight or today inside that courtroom, and the jury speaking out and sending a message. And there was, you know, in the closing arguments we heard about send messages that, you know, victims have to be perfect or whatever. But Amber Heard got up on that witness stand and she told and described attacks that were brutal, absolutely brutal attacks. Yet she never sought medical attention. The photographs that we saw didn't match up with the level of physical violence that she described. Do you think this case for this jury was about Amber Heard's not believing what she was saying on the witness stand or believing Johnny Depp when he testified?
I think the issue was Johnny Depp's team had a theme. They prepared him better, and he had better facts. And most importantly, when Johnny Depp got on the stand and was approached with a bad fact, do you know what he did? He admitted to it and moved on. The jury did not like Amber Heard because Amber Heard argued every single point, even when it was not a thing that was beneficial to her case. And that's how she destroyed her credibility over time while she was on the stand. When they asked Johnny Depp questions, why did you lie to people and say that you damaged your own finger? He said, I just didn't want to deal with, you know, telling people that Amber Heard did it. He lied, and he admitted to the jury he lied. So he's sitting there with damages to his credibility as well. But the way that he dealt with it in front of the jury was better than the way that Amber Heard team prepared her to deal with the bad facts in her case. I just think he had a better team, and Amber Heard's legal team fell victim to Johnny Depp's theme, which was this is a he said, she said, you know, Amber Heard's a liar, instead of sticking to their theme, that this is a First Amendment issue. She should be able to discuss being a victim of violence, which she was, because there was many experts that said they were in a toxic, abusive relationship in which they abused each other. Many text messages were read where Johnny Depp was saying horrible things about her. So they were obviously in an abusive relationship. Did it rise to the level that she said in the op-ed, the sexual violence? We didn't have any corroborating evidence for that. And that's where part of the issue and how she lost the case.
You know, something else, Nima, in the way Johnny Depp testified, taking some really bizarre behavior and making it seem not so bizarre. And the example that I use is Australia. His finger is cut and he's painting these strange messages on the wall with his blood and paint. This is bizarre. This is like out of your mind kind of stuff. But he got up there and testified about it, and I was like, at the end, I was like, well, okay, I understand what he did. And then he's able to move on from that. I don't know any other human being who could explain that behavior and at the end of the explanation have me and others thinking, well, okay, I understand, Johnny, I understand why you did it.
Well, Vinny, I agree, and I agree with Sue Ann. I mean, look, he wasn't acting, but Johnny Depp is one of the best performers of our generation, and he was phenomenal on the witness stand, probably one of the best I've ever seen. He was likable, he was credible, and compare him to Amber Heard. She was a narcissist. She lied about TMZ. She lied about the donations. She exaggerated her injuries. She said that Johnny Depp hit her so many times she lost count. He thought Depp was going to kill her. We didn't see an attempted murder. We saw a misdemeanor battery, and that's why the jurors didn't like her. But there were so many other mistakes that were made in this case. Heard's lawyers couldn't overcome basic objections. They ran out of time. They couldn't get any other witnesses to show up in person except for Whitney and the experts who were paid to be there. Johnny Depp had the better witnesses. He had more witnesses. He had people coming out of the woodwork, as Heard's lawyers said, that wanted to be there to support him. And at the end of the case, the jurors just did not like Amber Heard. And in a case that was all about likability and credibility, they chose to punish her for her lies. And that's why we got the overwhelming result that we did here.
All right, our guests are staying with us, the think tank with us for the hour. When we come back, I want to talk about something not a lot of people are talking about. Amber Heard, after this verdict, released a statement, okay? I read that statement, then I had to reread it, and I'm like, wait a minute. Is Amber Heard re-defaming Johnny Depp in her post-verdict statement in which the jury just told the world that she defamed Johnny Depp? Did she do it again? We'll take a look, and I'll let the think tank make the decision.
don't want to call myself a victim. I don't like to think of myself as a victim, and I don't want him to think I'm attacking him or blaming him. I'm pointing out I didn't cooperate with the police, that I didn't want to get him in trouble, that I didn't want to hurt him. I don't want anything from him. Just don't call me a liar. It's all I said. Just don't call me a liar. Just don't say this isn't real. Because I'm the walking proof of it.
Jury didn't think it was real. Jury didn't agree with Amber Heard. They agree with Johnny Depp. Johnny Depp, the overwhelming winner today. We're live here outside the courthouse, Fairfax County, Virginia. Amber Heard, that was her speaking during the trial. Now, she didn't speak after this verdict, but she did release a statement. And I had to read it and reread it because I'm reading the statement and I'm thinking, is this statement that she's releasing re-defaming Johnny Depp? Is it actually worse than the op-ed in the Washington Post that was the subject matter of this lawsuit and this verdict against her by the jury? Let me read the statement to you. Listen closely. Amber Heard, the disappointment I feel today is beyond words. I'm heartbroken that the mountain of evidence still was not enough to stand up to the disproportionate power, influence, and sway of my ex-husband. I'm even more disappointed with what this verdict means for other women. It is a setback. It sets back the clock to a time when a woman who spoke up and spoke out could be publicly shamed and humiliated. Listen to this. It sets back the idea that violence against women is to be taken seriously. I believe Johnny's attorneys succeeded in getting the jury to overlook the key issue of freedom of speech and ignore evidence that was so conclusive that we won in the UK. I'm sad I lost this case, but I am sadder that I seem to have lost a right I thought I had as an American to speak freely and openly. Let me remind you of what the statements were that cost her $15 million from the jury, be knocked down to 8.5. I spoke up against sexual violence and faced our culture's wrath. That has to change. That was one of the statements. Then 2 years ago, I became a public figure representing domestic abuse, and I felt the full force of our culture's wrath for women who speak out. I had the rare vantage point of seeing in real time how institutions protect men accused of abuse. That was the statement that cost her $8.35 million. The statement she released today, is it worse? Is it potential re-defamation? I think I made up a word today. Let me bring back in the think tank. Sue Ann Robinson, Nima Rahmani, Kirk Nermi with us. Kirk, your thoughts? I mean, was this a dangerous statement to release right after losing a defamation case?
I certainly think so. She kind of really doubled down, if you will, doubled down on the defamation, because what did she do? She sat there and said, this sets back women who are victims of domestic violence, like me. It included a direct reference to Johnny Depp. They didn't buy the evidence. I had all this evidence of abuse, but nobody bought it. It wasn't considered to be true by the jury. That makes it even more likely to be false, right? When we talk about the double down defamation that Johnny Depp could pursue here, because this statement is all the stronger. Hey, I had a jury who said that this didn't happen. I had a jury that put $5 million of punitive damages in your lap, even though they're going to be reduced. And then you come out and say this. So yeah, she has absolutely, in my opinion, exposed herself to another defamation suit.
Nima Rahmani, your thoughts?
I agree. It's the triple D, the double down defamation or redefamation. Let's look at the statements that she lost on. It was sexual violence, it was domestic abuse, and institutions protect men. Well, the last two were what she restated today on social media. So, and look, Amber, you're not going to be able to file bankruptcy because the jurors found that you acted with intent. Intentional torts aren't dischargeable. Johnny's going to have 30 years there in Virginia, 10 plus 2 additional to really enforce this judgment if he wants to. So now you're saying it again, and Depp has already vindicated himself. So does he file another lawsuit? Probably not, but she just needs to go away. I don't think she has any legal basis to appeal. And now that she's making additional statements, she's just creating more problems for herself, Vinnie.
Sue Ann Robinson, are you surprised that what she said in that statement was said and it was publicly released and published today?
I'm just gonna say she's doing too much. She should have just took her licks, take her $2 million, go about her business, figure out how she's going to take care of this judgment. There was no reason for her to release that statement at this time. Whoever wrote that statement needed to write the theme of the case, the cross-examination of Johnny Depp, and the objections during her cross-examination. At the end of the trial, they want to have a salient point to make. It's too late now. You lost. Take your licks and just go home. Deal with it. But to release a statement, as everyone said, that's doubling down on things that she's already been found liable for in a civil lawsuit that we all had to watch for weeks and weeks and weeks, it's disrespectful. Just stop, Amber. You're doing too much.
Yeah, Kirk, I mean, we cover trials all the time. People win, people lose. When they lose, they don't think they should have lost. But just the fact that this was a defamation case, to come out and make arguably similar statements afterwards that you just, I can't believe that it was released. I'm shocked. I'm stunned at this point that she would release a statement like this. I can understand a statement that I'm disappointed that I lost, that they didn't believe me, right? I can understand that, but it goes so much further than that.
Yeah, you bet, Vinnie. And I'm kind of not surprised by this, given her borderline diagnosis, right? I suspect her legal team had nothing to do with it. I suspect Amber, with her PR team, remember she hired a new one during the trial, came together with this. We're going to put this out because in some ways, you know, I agree. She needs to go away and figure out how she's going to settle this judgment. But in another way, she has no choice in some respect to stick by her story and hope that enough people believe her that she is a bankable star. Because right now, I would think she's a toxic asset as an actress in Hollywood.
Let me ask you, Nima Rahmani, I have a way that she might be able to pay this. I have a theory. You tell me if it will work. Before she released that statement in the Washington Post, it was vetted by some lawyers that she had. Could she file a malpractice claim against those lawyers, get them and their insurance company to cover the $8 million for her?
I think it's a great idea, Vinny. Those lawyers are here in Century City, and they testified in the trial that they're the ones that helped her and the ACLU ghostwrite this, and they vetted it and they signed off. And so no question she should file against them to try to cover part of this judgment. She was relying on their legal advice, and really that's her only path right now, because she's probably the most despised woman in America, and no Hollywood studio is going to cast her for anything. It would face massive boycott.
You know, I had one other way she could pay this thing. Just rekindle things with Mr. Musk. Just saying. All right, when we come back, folks, we got to... Exactly. When we come back, we've got some more to talk about. We've got more reaction, celebrity reaction to today's verdict. Matt Johnson has that for us. And I want to tell you about, this is the biggest trial of this year. I'm going to tell you about the biggest trial coming up next year on your front row seat to justice. Don't go anywhere.
absolutely perfect.
This is no longer the search for missing children. This is the search for killers.
This stretches just so beyond what anyone could imagine.
Breaking news in the case against Doomsday Prophet Chad Daybell.
Prosecutors say they will seek the death penalty against him.
Investigators have recovered human remains at Chad Daybell's residence.
There's no way, Logan. I could never come up with this.
Lori was his follower. Chad Daybell's the prophet.
Chad had a vision, plagues, and foreign troops coming to the soil.
Will his wife, Lori Daybell, turn on him?
It's just so hard to know where the truth ends.
All eyes on this Idaho trial.
Big ruling by the judge. The venue changed.
The further away you can get from the scene of the alleged incident, the better off you are.
Think about all the people that had to die and disappear. It's the Doomsday Prophet Chad Daybell on trial. Welcome back, folks. That will be the biggest trial of 2023, and it's not just versus Chad Daybell. Let's put it up on the screen. It's also versus Lori Daybell. Idaho v. Lori Vallow and Chad Daybell, the Doomsday Prophet, the Doomsday Mom. January 9th, 2023. It's a story, it's a case unlike any you have ever seen, that you've ever seen on Court TV. We've been covering the story for years already. Court TV will be there bringing it to you. In the meantime, I want to bring in Court TV crime and justice reporter Matt Johnson. At the mothership tonight, Court TV mothership. Matt, great to see you.
Nice to see you there, too. Great
I've been here on the ground. Thank you. I mean, the reaction I've seen and felt here on the ground has been unreal. How about some of the other celebrities who've been following this case? Is anyone putting in their 2 cents about this shocking verdict today?
You mean the other celebrities outside of you? I'm just kidding. Verdicts are in.
Outside of me.
And so are the star reactions, of course, because it's really about them, right, on their social media. Earlier in the trial, actress Ricki Lake, we start with her, tweeted her support of Depp. Tweeting Depp was gentle and someone she absolutely adored on the set of Crybaby. Well, today, not taking sides, simply tweeting, "Someone won," as she waited for the verdict to be read with the rest of us. Post-verdict Team Depp stars included Valerie Bertinelli, who wrote, "Elon and his bots will be very busy today. #Justice for Johnny." We saw a lot of those hashtags. Supermodel and friend of Kate Moss, Naomi Campbell, posted hearts under Johnny Depp's statement on Instagram today. Stars on Team Heard included comedian Amy Schumer, who posted a quote from Gloria Steinem on the Instagram. Take a look. "Any woman who chooses to behave like a full human being should be warned that the armies of the status quo will treat her as something of a dirty joke. She will need her sisterhood." Meanwhile, Sharon Osbourne, also weighing in, when doesn't she, right? Appeared shocked by the decision while on the Piers Morgan UK talk show. She said this, quote, "Wow, it wasn't what I was expecting. I mean, I wanted Johnny to win, but I didn't expect him to." The big question remains, and we've been talking about this all night, Vinny. How will this impact their careers? Because we know casting directors and movie directors, people that make all those big decisions there in La La Land, where I'm from, are watching, and they were watching Court TV with the rest of us when you were breaking news with that verdict earlier today.
Yeah, unbelievable. And it'll be interesting. You know, does he get his name back, his career back in Hollywood? Obviously, the fans are there, and that fan base may have grown because of the nature of this trial. Matt Johnson, great to see you. Thanks so much.
Of course. Great seeing you as well.
When we come back, folks, it's time to hear from you. You've heard from me. You've been listening to me all day. The 13th juror. Was justice served today? Your verdict when we return.
How do you reconcile this verdict with
the UK verdict.
Well, this is why my head is spinning. I was there for the UK trial. I saw very, very similar evidence in huge volumes being given in the UK trial, and we had a judge who, 3 months afterwards, decided that in 12 of the 14 allegations of domestic violence, Johnny Depp was guilty. That has been thrown out of the window by this American verdict.
Call our helpline now.
I think that justice was definitely served for Johnny, and I'm really excited to see what's next for him.
I really think it was sensationalized, and it also shows just, how it could really affect women who might have been battered and abused. And if it's a powerful man, well-loved on camera, this is really the result. And so I'm a little disturbed by it, I guess.
The same way that public opinion was his condemnation,
public opinion can also be his liberation, his freedom, you know, that will set him back on the right track, you know. And he's not a perfect man, but I'm saying that for the whole public to see what's happening. It was hard for both of them, for their life to be all in the court, for the whole world to see what's going on. I feel for both parties.
Some of the reaction here outside the courthouse, Fairfax County, Virginia, to today's verdict. Johnny Depp won. In the end, you do the math. It looks like $8.35 million Amber Heard will owe Johnny Depp after they found that she defamed him. Now, a lot of folks wondering, where was Johnny Depp today? We found some video posted on Instagram. Looks like it was posted about 7 hours ago, which would be before the verdict, but we're not quite sure about the timing of it all. Here he is in Newcastle, Northern England, at a pub.
Love you, Johnny. We love you, Johnny. We love Johnny. I love you, bro. I love you, bro. I love you, bro. I love you.
Okay, so I don't know if he knew the verdict yet. I don't think he did at that moment. Anyhow, posted on social media, always at the end of a case, was justice served? That's what we're supposed to answer inside a courtroom. We begin on this verdict night. 13th juror comment of the day coming from Terry with an IE. Love the IE, Terry, by the way. Yes, justice was served. He proved his case. She did not. This is why we have a judicial system to render the truth according to the evidence presented. Hashtag never fear truth. Kirk Nurmi, did the truth come out inside that courtroom?
I think it did, at least to the collective wisdom of the court of public opinion, the truth came out. And I think to some extent, really, Vinnie, justice was served before this verdict came out, because Johnny Depp was redeemed in the court of public opinion well before the verdict was rendered. But I think this bit of this verdict adds a little bit of extra justice to it, and whatever he pours in his mega pint tonight is going to taste all that much better.
Jennifer tonight, all her lies were her own. The only lie on JD's side was by his lawyer, not even made by himself. For her to basically blame the jury for not believing in free speech is hilarious. Sue Ann Robinson, there are some limitations to free speech in this country, and you're not allowed to just get away with saying whatever you want about someone if you damage their reputation.
Right, and that's exactly what I think is the lesson for attorneys, and is a turning point a little bit. Lawyers in the media, Adam Waldman is out there zealously advocating for his client, saying, hey, listen, this story, this domestic violence phone call in 2016, it's a hoax. That's enough. But he takes the extra step to say, let me explain how the hoax went, as if he was present, as if someone told him, as if he had a camera, and explaining how they set up the scene. Too much. He went too far. He was doing too much. So I think that's what the jury was saying with respect to the verdict in Amber Heard's favor. But I definitely think right now, you know, obviously, I'm sure that Johnny Depp is celebrating somewhere in Europe. And as I said, he's pouring sweet justice into his mega pint tonight.
Yeah, but amazingly, if you go to Europe tonight, if you go to England, you can call him a wife beater because he won the case in England. Unbelievable. Rach Allison tonight. Justice was served along with a piece of humble pie for Ms. Heard. Nima Rahmani, what do you think does happen next with the legal team? Is this a case where we're going to see notices of appeal and then perhaps try to negotiate down the number on this verdict and agree to something less than what she owes at this point?
Vinny, I think we're going to see an appeal, but no negotiation, because just like Johnny was canceled, his back was against the wall. Same thing with Amber Heard. What's she going to do? Save a couple $1 million and waive her right to appeal? The only chance she has of ever acting again and restoring her name is to find some legal error, I don't see any, and prejudice, and get this jury verdict vacated. Not going to happen. And again, I think her career is essentially over.
Nina tonight, she's got a big, a very long statement here, but I'm going to read it all, Nina. Absolutely. In addition, Amber's statement after the verdict further proves that she was being dishonest, embellishing, and her statement only hurts those true victims of domestic and sexual violence. She herself, by her own actions and lies, set the clock back for true victims. Hopefully, she gets the therapy she needs to heal and move on. Lastly, I think Amber just pledged $8.35 million to Johnny, who we know she will never truly pay as she doesn't fulfill her commitments. Zing by Nina. Kirk, let me talk to you, though, about other victims. Will this have a chilling effect on true victims coming forward?
I certainly hope not, Vinny. You know, one thing that's really distinct about Miss Heard, when she came forward with everything, and we've talked about it throughout this trial, there was no corroboration. And what she told during this trial, these lies, the sexual assault, things of that nature, what the jury determined to be a lie, were kind of, I think, well chosen because you can't disprove a negative, right? They were impossible to disprove. But I think going forward, we're going to see real victims that come forward. They're going to have facts to support and corroborate because of this, as we talked about earlier, this game change in these type of cases where we do have that Men Too movement moving forward and not just blindly believing every allegation that's made.
Lisa, tonight, yes, women who don't tell the truth about domestic violence are a hindrance to those who have dealt with it and are not believed. Sue Ann, I've seen a lot of comments like this where victims of domestic violence have questioned Amber Heard and actually see Amber Heard exhibiting traits of an abuser. Your final thoughts tonight as we are quickly running out of time tonight.
I think she did exhibit traits during the trial, and she exhibited traits in her statement that she made after the trial. It was clear that they were in a toxic relationship. We have the recordings of her being toxic and abusive to Johnny, so that goes without saying. I don't say that Johnny was not a victim. I don't say that she was not a victim. I think they were in a very, very toxic, very abusive relationship. And we all, unfortunately, had to be the arbiters of watching and viewing them airing their dirty laundry. And I'm just glad it's over, to be honest. And, you know, if Johnny can move on and have a career after this, then great for him.
Sue Ann Robinson, Nima Rahmani, Kirk Nurmi. So grateful to have you with us here on Verdict Night. Thank you so much. We'll see you again really, really soon. Okay, folks, that's it for tonight. Signing off here from Fairfax County, Virginia. I want to thank the judge and the deputies. Did an unbelievable job throughout all of this, and we appreciate their kindness and their help and their professionalism. That's it for me. Before we go, I have an important picture to show you. This is Vashti Moreno. Vashti Moreno, missing from Orange, California, 15 years old. She's been missing since April 25th. If you see Vashti, please call 911, 1-800-THE-LOST, or the LA County Sheriff's Office. Good night. Thank you for watching. And please don't forget to hug the kids.